why.
Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show on the Straight Talk Network. I am your host, Andre Hill. We have our co-host, Chairman Terrence Lake, Chairman of the United Aboriginal American Republic. How you doing this morning, Chairman?
Oh, Grand Rising, everyone. I feel pretty good. It's an ugly-looking day out here. It looks like it's going to rain, but temperature-wise, we'll be in the 70s, so that's great. But it's a beautiful day to be alive.
Okay. How did the Detroit Lions do last week?
No, they got whooped, kind of embarrassed. We need a running quarterback. That's what you have to have today. If you can't run, the Tom Brady style is not going to make it anymore.
Yeah, you got to be able to escape out the pocket.
That's right.
All right. Well, I'm a little behind time. I didn't catch all of the results from last week. But, all right. Hey, also, we got our engineer and Juris Doctor for United Aboriginal American Republic, Andre Hill Jr. What's going on, man?
I'm good. That you gotta use the right terminology. I'm just chief jurist.
Chief jurist.
Not a juris doctor. People don't think I went to law school.
Okay. Well, in this life, navigating through this sort of thing, that's like going to law school. But anyway, we got an exciting day. We got some serious topics coming up. We also may have Mama Kelly coming in to give some insight on what's going on with the Caucasians shooting up each other and that sort of thing. If she weighs in, be looking forward to it. But as I posted on Friday, what happens if star seeds of Earth fail their mission? Family tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Straight Talk Network. You can get us on YouTube or on my Facebook page at Andre Hill Sr. We're going deep. A psychic recently confirmed that I am an Activator Star Seed. But what does that mean? And what role does it play in humanity's future? We'll break that down. Also, the chairman is tracking Comet 3-1 Atlas, 3I Atlas, that recently entered our solar system, which we believe is not just a comet.
Right.
My eyes are lined up kind of crazy. It's a possibility that it's a starship. So the chairman is going to break that down, a Federation Starship. He's going to break that down and this morning, and we're going to play a few minutes of that particular clip to give you a little insight on it. Also, and for the first time, Andre Jr. will speak on the unrepresented melanated beings, the Browns. And we got people out in the universe, man, and they got some serious technology. The Most High Nubians. These beings have the ability to create realities and preside conflict among hostile life forms, such as the Reptilians and the Greys. This isn't just another broadcast. This is a call to activate, align, and remember who we are. The future of Earth star seeds depend on it. Tune in, share, and join in the conversation. So go ahead and set that video up, and because the chairman is going to expand on this one here. I'm excited about it. The chairman sent me this video, and I said, well, we got to talk about this one on Saturday. So we're going to play it just a few seconds and set it up, and then weigh in on it.
Beloved family of light on earth, I am Mira from the Pleiadian High Council, and I speak to you now with profound love and purpose. In this moment of great change on your planet, I come forth with an urgent and joyful message for all star seeds, light workers, and awakening souls. We observe you from the vantage of the Galactic Federation, and we surround you with our support and guidance. I wish to address the recent cosmic visitor in your skies, the interstellar object your scientists call 3I Atlas, and share the true nature and significance of this phenomenon from an alternative, higher perspective. Many of you have sensed that something extraordinary is afoot. You feel it in your hearts, an excitement, a quickening. Let me confirm, this object is no ordinary comet at all. In fact, it is not a comet. The mounting evidence on your world points to what we in the High Council know in absolute certainty. 3I Atlas is a guided emissary, a galactic Federation ship under intelligent control. This is a pivotal moment in humanity's awakening, and I speak with certainty to encourage you, as starseeds, to think outside the conventional box. There is far more to this story than the mainstream may admit. Over the course of this transmission, I will share evidence that this is not a comet, explain who is behind it and why, discuss what your own scientists are detecting, caution how the cabal may try to manipulate the situation, and speak about what is coming, including a major event around October.
Okay, so that's to give you a little insight. Chairman, what are your thoughts on this 3I Starship?
I think it's the most interesting news I've ever heard in my life. In fact, I've been waiting on this information since the early 70s when I wrote my book. You know, it's very important that people listen to the full video because it's letting us know that there is a Confederate starship that's entered our solar system, and it's, you know, heading not towards planet Earth, but Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. And we spotted it through the Hubble telescope, and I think the Webb telescope, and we seen that the trajectory, the way it's coming, it's going to pass those three planets. But unfortunately, and I think fortunate for them because they planned it, that planet Earth is going to be on the other side of the sun. So therefore, we won't be able to get a good view of it. But we do have probes on Mars that they're got permission to focus in on it when it gets close to Mars to show people that it's not a comet. People, you know, like you got one of the most renowned scientists on planet Earth, Professor Avi Loeb, made a comment and a statement that he said that it's a possibility that this is intelligently controlled and that it's extraterrestrials coming to do a flyby of our planet. And for a scientist of his caliber to make a statement like that, that's highly unusual because they reserve themselves. They don't want to put themselves on the line. He's like the Shirley MacLaine when she mentioned about extraterrestrials, you know, being real, you know, but he don't care because he's got enough information. And this man has over 700 views, documented evidence of certain things. That's why he's so highly renowned because of his position and his access to information to enlighten us on the universe. So we're ready for some very exciting times right now. You know, all the star seeds on planet Earth are just geeked up, happy, buckling up their seat belts, you know, trying to be ready for this here. And they're talking about, you know, with you see that there's certain starships that can cloak themselves that we can't detect, but they're saying that they are protecting us because there are certain asteroids that can come by way of the sun on that side, and we can't detect it because of the brightness of the sun. But these starships can move them in a different direction where they won't hit planet Earth. And some of them are so large that it would be like a dinosaur effect. And we got to wake up, you know, that there's somebody that's got our back, you know, and we've detected certain ones that have passed us very close that our society didn't even want to talk about it on that level because they don't want to freak people out. But like I say, that we do have some source out there that has our back, because there's a purpose, you know, for all these things to just come about right now, because the Galactic Confederation, you know, they know that it's time for people on planet Earth to wake up, come together, stop these wars, killing each other, you know, and they're making themselves known. And they say that this 3I slash Atlas was detected first in July the 1st, and it was detected from an observatory down in South America and one that was in Japan. And it's phenomenal. You know, the society, the people that are watching this program have got to see this interview. They've got to see this program. They've got to tell their friends about it. And it's nothing to fear, because they come in peace. And they have people that can communicate with the starship through, you know, almost like a remote viewing, but this is a remote mental telepathy type thing. And we got to get it together, you know. And I think, like, within, I say within a year, it's going to be well known, disclosure. Everybody's on the planet is going to know about it, because mainstream media right now don't want to talk about it, but they're going to have to, because it's going to show you pictures. You know, you got amateur astronomers that are viewing this 3I slash Atlas, you know, and it's like I said, we're in for some very interesting times. And I'll land the plane, you know, just check it out.
Absolutely. Hey, Junior, what do you think about this Starship? What are your generation saying about it?
Pretty much the same thing Chairman was saying. A lot of optimistic views on it. Wanting it to be, of course, more than what, you know, in most cases, oligarch governments across the world may deem it as just maybe a comet, right? They're going to call it that, but you know, as it's getting closer, and as, like Chairman was saying, interestingly, as different astrophysicists, astronomers, and scientists are observing it, and interestingly having some confidence to report that, nah, I mean, this is it has irregular movements for a regular comet,
Right.
and it's you know, it's odd in the sense that, you know, it's coming this close, because we have different layers of our solar system, to where you know, most comets, you know, where they tend to have their trajectory, which may be in the belt between I think there's Mars and Jupiter.
Yes.
And or the far out belt on, you know, beyond Pluto.
Right.
But yeah, this was getting close enough to be, you know, to be obviously you know, peculiar, right? So now what I think is this. This is what I think. I think it's a I mean, whether when we say Starship, right? You know, whether it is occupied by what we would conventionally think as some humanoid beings on the ship, possibly. Could be very likely. Could be very likely. But what I really think, though, regardless whether it's occupied or if it's a piece of what's an instrument of high technology.
Yes.
Right. That it is transmitting information. Matter of fact, not only is it transmitting information, it's probably downloading information as well from Earth, right? Picking up on, you know, what's going on here. And then not only logical information, but spiritual information, meaning meaning, what type of frequency, frequency on the spectrum of hate to love are we emitting off of this planet right now, collectively? All right. What different demographics are feeling right now in under this current, system over the whole planet? And it's here to pretty much pick up and log what's happening and report back. Now, so I did a little bit of research on it. So like Chairman was saying, it's going to be visible, from our vantage point for most of September. And then it's like Chairman was saying, then it's gonna go around, or we're gonna travel around the sun. Well, we both are, to where to be outside of our line of sight directly.
Right.
But then again in December, it's gonna be back in our line of sight.
Right.
So that's gonna be around my birthday. So that's gonna be really interesting to see what what it produces once it orbits around the sun. Now, I've been looking on the different social media platforms recently and seeing a lot of the creative ways people are, just making light and fun, and again, being optimistic about it. A lot of our people, a lot of Aboriginals, making videos about it. And I'm happy to see it, because what it's showing me is a lot of people are open-minded.
Yes.
And better yet, beyond open-minded, they are wanting something of this magnitude to happen, because the matrix hamster wheel is just played out to everybody. It's like, at this point, I think everybody, from my generation down, is realizing, okay, the reason I get up every day and somewhat participate in the system is because as a child I was conditioned to do so. And so in this entire world, is built on, built within this hamster wheel. And I don't know any other way to live and or survive. They're looking forward to a monumental event that would jolt everything out of normalcy, and hopefully bring some change that is positive, dynamic, and high vibrational. That's what I'm seeing from everybody, right? So hey, I'm looking forward to it, for the most part. The way I see it, I'm gonna speak about this later on in the show, but it sounds like this entity is right on time. In other words, you let me tell it. We called it and it came. Right? We called it and it came, and it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. And and I think we're going to do what we called it for. So, like, again, yeah, I'm interested in seeing exactly what it entices and influences and everybody.
Yeah. So good analysis. What I'm picking up from it is broadcasting some serious frequencies. And all of us, basically on this panel are star seeds, and we're receiving the message in different frequencies, based on our personal experiences. But I'm getting downloads, like it's overwhelming. It seems like the closer it gets, the more profound the downloads are, and they're like instructions. And particular, that's why I have a piece that I looked up on Google, and AI kind of formed an assessment of the star seeds. Right now, the star seeds are being called, and they should all be receiving these messages and these downloads, and they should be finding purpose right now. They're starting to realize that, this thing about, money and religion and the politics and all this is pure madness. And, you know, since we started meditating on to the Most High to intervene on our behalf to remove these demons from the planet, it's happening. These demons, you know, when I say demons, I'm going to say misguided souls. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They got caught up and they lost their way. They got caught up because of their challenges and their tests. You know, so right now, I know for certain the primary focus is on the star seeds to wake up. It's imperative that you step in, because you're the ones that are going to have to demonstrate by example. This formula will work. The reason you were peppered all over the planet to have all these different experiences and learn the different languages, and so that at the appropriate time, which is now, you are to step up, join the rest of the star seeds, come together and demonstrate, create miracles, you know, by example. And all the rest of the humans that are now ready, because they are disenfranchised with the politics, with the economics, with the religions, you know, they all prove themselves to be demonic, you know, self-serving. And so if you just a regular human that want to enjoy the planet, just want to treat people right, you should be disturbed by what's going on right now. And so, but the star seeds, hey, this is a call to order, you know, for you guys. It's time for you to step up and get involved. Now, also, and let it be known that this ship is an enforcer as well. So all of these politicians and all these banking demons and religious demons that are still maintaining control, they're being destroyed. And of course, you know, the old saying, everything in darkness shall soon come to light. So this starship is bringing light, it's bringing instructions, it's bringing encouragement, and we need to home into it. But right now, the star seeds, it's a call to order. It's time for you guys to step up. So I'm gonna go briefly into the part of, you know, what I said about the star seeds. I pulled some information off the internet. It says, yes, the belief system surrounding star seeds includes the idea that they can indeed fall short of fail their mission. Now, this is for the ones that are sitting by being complicit and complacent at this point in time, and not, you know, just giving up on the humans. And I explained even last week that, you know, at one point I thought it was worthless. You know, I thought it was a lost cause, but then they brought me back around and said, no, sir, buddy, you got to get back on this job. So I'm on this job. Often through struggles with Earth, negative energies, feeling lost, or being influenced by external systems that distract from their higher purpose. However, the journey is often characterized by learning through trial and error, with the ultimate goal being the integration of spiritual wisdom and personal authenticity to uplift humanity. So these are the changes, you know, it's a trial and tribulation kind of thing. You are going through these tests, but you have to persevere and you have to overcome them. Okay, challenges star seeds may face. Difficulty, you know, I might pull my glasses on. All right, difficulty with the earthly experiences. Star seeds may find Earth negative energies, social injustices, and lack of empathy overwhelming, causing discomfort and confusion. These are some things that you all should be experiencing, and this is normal, you know, but you still got to get back on track. Feeling lost or lacking purpose. Many star seeds experience confusion and a profound longing to fulfill their destiny, sometimes going through phases of trials and error to find their true path. All right. Also, being co-opted by earthly systems. There is a risk of star seeds being drawn into the very systems they are meant to challenge, losing focus on their higher mission. All right, here's another piece. Trauma and inner conflict. Past life trauma or betrayal from other dimensions can lead to emotional disconnection, overthinking, gotta pay attention to them, and a need to control, which hinders their ability to surrender to their intuition. So most starseeds, you know instinctively that your purpose is higher than what this earth system is offering right now. And you got to rely on that. You know the difference between right and wrong. Starseeds, you know that more than anybody. All right. So what failure looks like: becoming cynical, overthinking, and emotional disconnection can lead to cynicism, preventing them from embracing vulnerability and trusting their intuition. All right. Losing sight of the mission. External forces or internal struggles can pull a starseed away from their intended purpose of assisting in humanity's evolution. That's why you're here, starseed. You're here to assist this species in its spiritual evolution of raising to a higher frequency, understanding that they too can perform these miracles and even greater works. So these are some of the things of encouragement that we want to get these starseeds to understand. Some of the trials and tribulations that you're going through is normal, but you still have to rely on your instincts between right and wrong. I ran into a starseed just yesterday, and when they realized that the whole system was designed to entrap them, they said no, and they went through a gyration of rejecting. I cannot be a part of this system, and I'm meeting them on a regular basis. And it's my job, and I'll explain to you why it's my job to help encourage and provide them with the information, because each one of us have different challenges. It's based on the astrological alignment. Some of us are Aquarius. Some of us are Cancer, some of us are Capricorns, just like here on this panel. We have these different variations and different points of view and perspectives, but our starseed must kick in and say, but my primary goal for being on this planet is to raise the frequency to help these humans evolve spiritually. All right, struggling with authenticity. A starseed may struggle to express their authentic self or transmute their higher knowledge into physical reality, which is considered their primary mission. All right, the journey of integration and growth, trial and error. The starseed's journey is often one of learning through experiences, including setbacks and perceived screw-ups, to find their true path and purpose. All right, starseed, just because you screwed up, through the trial and error process, it's okay. You have not failed your mission. That's part of the learning experience. So gather your bootstraps up and let's get on this job. This fine, because we're in the final chapter of our purpose. Activating consciousness. The ultimate success is an internal process of activating human consciousness and allowing oneself to accept their true mission and purpose. All right, so this is just a confirmation, and I hope that everybody, all you starseeds, receive that. Now, what I'm about to say right now, I was put in a position. And I had some very unusual experiences that I'm not going to say elevated me, because one thing about Starseed, we're all equal, but my particular job is I'm a Starseed activator. So I ran across this young lady on TikTok, and she's a Starseed, and she's trying to make money the best way she can. She uses her abilities to help humans find their way. I'm not a big fan of the readings, even though my son does readings. he does them based on the astrological alignment. But I do know through certain cards and different instruments, certain humans can see things that other humans can't, and they can interpret them. And the guardians of the Most High recognize that, and they will send messages through these human beings. So you can't discard them or throw them away, say, oh, you in the devil worship because you reading cards and all that. No, this is the guardians of the Most High reaching out to you. So I learned a long time ago when I lived in Washington, D.C., how to kind of let go and receive the message, because there's so much deception on this earth. They're blocking you from receiving a lot of truth. And so now you're leery. And so you have to just let go. And if the message is positive and it's telling you that, you need to do this, you need to do right by people, and what you're running into, the problems that you're having, you might need to receive that message. But in this particular case, so this sister, she was persistent in saying, well, I like to do a reading for you, because she needs to make money, because she doesn't want to work in the system. I get it. But right now, all my funds is going towards UAAR. And, if we can generate funds for her, I told her we would. But, every dime I get right now is to build this nation, to separate our people out of this matrix. Because once again, I stated it when I posted, the words of Malcolm X, them chickens are coming home to roost. And also in the words of Martin Luther King, am I integrating my people into a burning house? You got to pay attention to what they were saying. And, and so we got to separate. We got to back up out of this system so that this starship can focus their laser in on these demons. And you don't want to be standing in close proximity when they start firing their lasers or firing their advanced technology. They're going to take these demons out, because what they're doing right now, the murder, the starvation of children, the lying, the cheating, the focusing on melanated people being exterminated from the planet so that they can continue to serve Lucifer. All of that, man, the Starship, that's why the Starship programmed this. It knew it was going to be at this particular time. And that's why they're coming through the solar system to back us up, to back up all the star seed. But we must start to a collective order to come together so that we can intensify this energy, intensify these downloads, and override these demonic, selfish people that want to be gods. They want to rule, they want to control, they want to enslave you because of their ignorance. They don't understand the balance of laws in the universe, which is much better to serve. So anyway, so I asked this woman the question. I said, look, I'm not going to do the reading. I said, but do you know what a star seed? And this is what she responded to me. She said, yes, I do. I asked, what was a star seed activator? Sorry about that. And she said, yes, I do. She said, a star seed activator is a soul awakened to help other star seeds remember who they are. You carry ancient codes, light frequencies, and cosmic memory. When you speak, shift, or create, you activate others. If you're asking, it's likely because you are one. So that was a confirmation to me. It doesn't put me on a pedestal. Please understand, I can't use the terminology, I'm a starseed supervisor. It's just that my particular experience is my job at this point in time to help activate you, to help give you the confidence, to help remind you why you're here, and then to help organize us into a position so that we can start this movement of demonstrating to the other humans on this planet who will receive either through sight, through hearing, through smelling, through tasting, through feeling, and then our intuition. We will understand instinctively you know, what we're doing is right, and the other humans will eventually catch on. So that's the whole thing with the Star Seed. For those of you that are coming into your own, here in Tampa on the, hold on, let me get this. We have a event coming up very soon. Okay. And on October the 4th, next month, between the hours of, hold on, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., we have a Celebrate Culture at the Sankofa Fest. And it's going to be held at the Greenway Family Foundation Fairgrounds at 5815 North 34th Street. And if you want to get more information, in case you didn't catch that, you can go to our website and ask that question. We will post this flyer on our website. Give my son a few days. He will post it. We're going to speak at this site. We're going to speak for about 10 minutes. And then everybody that's interested, if you're a Star Seed, you can come over to our booth. And my son and I, we're going to expand on it. We're going to have books, Lucifer's Revenge, that we're going to both autograph and sell to continue to raise money for the UAAR mission. So you want to get more information, go to our website at UAARnation.org, and we will hopefully have a flyer on our events page. Give him at least 48 hours. He's from a different generation from me and the chairman. So, we have to allow for that. So, but that's what's going on. So Star Seeds, you come out, we will talk. For those that are in this matrix and you're thinking about, and you're getting fired out of your job because of the Agent Orange, and you're contemplating collateralizing your property to borrow money to go in business, don't do that. We're going to explain to you why you come out to this Sankofa Fest, and we're going to tell you why. We're going to explain to you why you need to invest into your own Aboriginal status and building a business where you're going to have a guaranteed customer base based on non-toxic products, biodegradable products, alternative fuel products. These are the things that we're going to be focusing on. So come out to October the 4th to talk with us, hang out with us, and get some books, share some other melanated people that are interested in this awakening process. All right, I said enough. I'm going to shift it back over to my son. I know I missed a couple of things, but he's going to break down who the Browns are. Oh, I'm going to have to speak again because I had one of those experiences. But go ahead and do your thing with the Browns. But I think you got a video you want to show.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the few. Also, too, we're going to welcome on Mama Kelly. She's on now. And Mama Kelly, welcome. I'm going to get through this section about the Browns and the Most High Nubians, and then we're going to open the floor back up. But you said a lot of things there, a lot of good things, a lot of interesting stuff, especially regarding starseeds and their experiences here on this planet at this particular time. You mentioned a few things, talked about starseeds having some level of challenges fulfilling their purpose. And reason why is because it's very hard to find your purpose in a fake artificial system, right? Very hard to find your purpose in this type of system. I mean, there's only so many programs available in this system, right? For you to expand your consciousness and your humanity. So again, to all of the people who are realizing, like, hey, this especially for my generation, we got a term for it. We say adulting is ghetto. That's what we be saying. This adulting stuff is ghetto because all we doing is getting up, going to somebody's job every day and paying bills, right? and it is completely unfulfilling. Right? At this point, it's completely unfulfilling. And so the other thing that you mentioned also too is within this spectrum of experiences that we're having, you mentioned trauma. That is one of the other things that I noticed over the years, that a lot of conscious people are gravitating to and what I mean by that is they're gravitating to the purpose of assisting to heal other humans, through their trauma, right? And or heal themselves from trauma that they may have experienced as a child, and or trauma that has been passed down through their family lineage. And so that's a big portion of the collective experiences on this planet. Everybody's going through something, and we're attempting to overcome it and ascend. And I have a really good friend that I've been knowing for years, and we talk. She's kind of like a twin to me because she was born like 2 days before me, right? And we both Capricorns, and we kind of reserved, and Capricorn, we ain't gonna listen. People can be on their drama. We gonna deal with it when we feel like dealing with it, or we just ain't gonna deal with it at all. But me and her sit back, and we discuss these experiences that seemingly a lot of people are deliberately subscribing to. In other words, we're sitting back and saying, okay, so a lot of situations have, they have a solution to them, but we're wondering, do the majority of people, are they truly seeking the solution, or are they wanting to experience the entirety of that traumatic situation, regardless of how light or heavy it may be? But my point is this, though, or I say this to her, or we say this to each other. We have no problems with challenges. Challenges are not the issue. The challenges are, or would help us grow, would help us ascend, would help us evolve. But the point is, we just don't want to deal with no petty challenges. No challenges that ain't bearing no fruit to our growth, right? And the current oligarch, deep state, shadow government regime is very good at producing and or curating petty challenges for everybody. It gets you locked into these these lower states of being, these lower vibrations. And so we're looking for a cure for that overall. That is what I've noticed humanity is desiring to do, whether they know how to articulate it or not. Everyone is looking for at least greater experiences here, because that's truly all we have here on this planet. It's like, when it comes to the money, when it comes to, whatever your driving motivation is, at the end, at the very bottom line of it is, you want to have a particular type of experience on this planet, because again, we are spiritual beings just having a human experience.
Right.
Now, I'm going to play a video in a second, because I want to talk about the what was considered as the Browns, or I'm going to call them the Most High Nubians for right now, right? And reason why is because typically in the UFO, in the quote unquote UFO community, up until relatively recently, and I say that, when I say relatively recent, I mean in the last maybe 15 years or so. Up until that point, the majority of the narrative of anything considered extraterrestrial, intergalactic, anything, even supernatural, the narrative was always guided by Caucasians. And so I'm about to say, everything I'm about to say right here is objective. It has been guided by Caucasians, and thus most of the time, a lot of Black people weren't interested in the topic because they saw no reflection or no relativity to themselves in the narrative. No relativity to themselves. In other words, all the aliens they either look like, little short green men what we call gray aliens, and/or specifically they look like what they call the Nordics, or what they call the Palladians.
Right.
And let's just be objective and honest. When you look at a Palladian and/or Nordic as it's depicted, they are typically blonde haired and blue eyed.
Right.
Again, the underrepresentation of melanated beings, even though we're about 80 to 90% of the population on the planet, are not represented in the intergalactic community, right? But interestingly, over the last few years, I've seen a lot of presentation on our representation. We used to have a brother that came on the show named Barry Littleton. Shout out to him if he sees the show. Hey man, what's up? We appreciate you, and if you ever want to come back and be a host on the show, we welcome you. But he's got his own show on YouTube. And again, I'm gonna play a video that he did of interviewing some interesting people. But before I do that, Dad, I gotta ask you, and I'm going to ask you because let me kind of set the premise up here. I'm asking you about the Browns because, even prior to, like I say, 15 years ago, when, there was a slow and gradual inclusion of melanated people, or melanated depictions in the UFO community. You wrote about way back in 1999. So we talking, what was that? That's 26 years ago. You was ahead of the curve with this. You wrote about your encounter with a woman who told you about her encounter with the Browns. If you don't mind, could you, recount that situation?
All right, so real quick, back in '97, a mile-wide UFO was seen by hundreds of people in Phoenix, Arizona. And at this time, this was several years after my awakening and when I went into the light being. So there was an advertisement of a UFO conference out there. So I got a ticket and flew out to Phoenix to the UFO conference because I want to see some firsthand experiences of people that have been abducted. Of course, you always have your doubts. So I flew out to excuse me, Arizona, and I went into this conference. And when I was walking into the hallway, there was a Caucasian blonde, blue-haired woman, and she was staring at me the whole time I was walking up towards the conference. So I didn't approach her. I went over and talked with the guy that was running the operation. And I asked him, I introduced myself, made him feel secure that I wasn't FBI, CIA, or anything. And so after he felt comfortable, I said, listen, I really want to talk to someone that have been abducted. And he said, absolutely. He said, that woman sitting right over there. It was the woman that was staring at me the whole time. So I went over and sat with her, and she was calmly staring at me, and very calmly, and I told her who I was, what I do. And she immediately said, you are an experiencer. I had never heard of such at that time. And I said, okay. And so she told me about her different experiences, and that evidently that deal that was cut with Truman and Eisenhower gave the Greys the authority to abduct different family lines. So she had been abducted, her daughters had been abducted, everybody in the females, and they were impregnating her, according to her, and to create. They were impregnating her with alien sperm, and these babies were then taken from her because that's how they were preserving their alien race. And they had the authority to do that. She said, she didn't looked at me and it's like, I know you need to know this. She said, but even though it was the aliens that was doing this, she said that the Browns intervened, bypassed the technology of the Greys and came on the ship and comfort her. They held her hand and they made her feel at peace. They were not conducting the experiences, but they knew what she was going through. And I went like, the Browns? And she said, yeah, they had dark skin, like elephant skin, and they had beautiful eyes like starbursts. And they were very calm, and they comforted me through these different trials and tribulations. And that lit me up like a Christmas tree, because I was like, at that time, all I saw was different, every different race except our ancestors, which was dark melanated people. They had the most advanced technology. So to the star seeds, this is the technology that we need to link in. And I pass the ball back to you.
All right, all right. Appreciate it. So in other words, she described let's go back over the description, a group of celestial beings that were dark brown, elephant skin, and had starburst eyes.
Meet Sean at the mechanic's place.
Okay.
I'll be back. Freddie should.
So that's interesting. So that was the first time I had ever heard representation of melanated beings in the UFO community. And not only was that a description of them, but the capability of them was even more interesting. So in other words, they were beyond the in other words, they were just more advanced than the Greys themselves, right? That's what she was reporting.
Absolutely.
Well, with that being said, all right, so again, still the narration and the representation of these type of beings are still far and few in between. But without further ado, again, I appreciate my brother Barry Littleton, because he was adamant enough about it to go do his research and do some interviews to get more information about these type of beings. So before I start the video, let me just give a little more context. So I don't know how Barry be getting his pull, but I commend the brother. But he interviewed this Caucasian guy named Corey Good. If anybody in the UFO community may be familiar with him, he was on the documentary titled Above Majestics. If anybody's ever seen a documentary, very interesting documentary. And Corey Good was on this documentary talking about his experience dealing with the government and the military, and how they were sending him on what he calls 20 and back missions, meaning they were, I believe, using his consciousness, projected it onto another planet for military purposes, I guess into another body, and he would spend 20 years in that body on that planet, and then you would come back into your body, but you would, now mind you, you would come back into your body in the same time frame. So in other words, if he was 40 years old, they projected his consciousness somewhere else. He did 20 years there, and then his consciousness came back into the 40-year-old body. So now mind you, but he's 40 years old on this planet, but he just went and got 20 years worth of experience. So technically he's 60. But they said they would age regress him back into his 40-year-old consciousness. Again, it sounds complex, and it is. If you want to get the full breakdown, just go watch the documentary Above Majestic, or just go look up Corey Good and maybe type in Above Majestic just so you get the right person. But needless to say, our brother Barry Littleton interviewed him on a video talking about Black ETs. And he says something Corey Good says some very interesting stuff. And, I took it, I listened to him objectively, and I'm just gonna let everybody hear it out. Let's get it started. 1 second here. All right, is this video visible to y'all?
No, there it is.
All right. So I'm gonna start this video about 4 minutes in, because as you can see, it's a 22-minute long video. We just want to get straight to the point.
there's out of all of those 52 star systems, there's only one group that was never taken over, and it was a group of tall African Zulu-looking people, and they developed far beyond. They were the first ones to travel from planet to planet, but the thing is, they never developed technology. They developed a spiritual shamanism type technology. They used crystals and other types of stones and even plants and stuff to focus their, abilities. We talked earlier about how we've discovered that we're held together, our atoms and electrons, they're all held together by many black holes. And those black holes are what hold us all together, and what pretty much holds everything in matter and reality together. And these beings learned how to collapse themselves into these little black holes and teleport through what we call the cosmic web, and teleport to other locations. So they were going to other planets, setting up commerce and trade without ever developing technology like a spaceship. And the reason they were never taken over by the Reptilians, a very strong psychic group, a very negative group, is because they had developed themselves spiritually and psychically to a point to where the Draco would come in to their star system, and they would cause mental confusion among the Draco, which is a major feat because they are a higher density group of beings that have very strong consciousness and abilities with telepathy. But they would overcome these groups, make them attack each other, many different methods like that. That was more of their method of warfare. But because of those abilities, they were never taken over. That was the only star in the local 52 star cluster.
And the 52 stars, so could you explain that a little bit, and and also maybe what the height of these particular beings were?
Yes, I'll describe them a little bit. Anywhere from 6.5 to 8 feet tall, and some have been described as taller, and look African. Their eyes are just a little bit bigger, and some of them have been described with caramel colored hair, but all of the ones that I had seen, it was short hair, and they were very tall and skinny, and they interact with a lot of shamans here on our planet, or also spiritual types of people. They'll interact with, like, when someone's having a really hard time, they may have a weird dream to where this tall African-looking person, and like feathers on the head, things around the wrist with long wispy grass, dancing these real wild dances to where like they're doing like this weird figure 8, and they're stomping of feet and clapping of hands, and all this really, but it's really a crazy dance. But something happens energetically, emotionally. They're able to, if someone has entity attachments, which was a situation I ran into, they're able to remove them by just doing this dance. They don't say a word, and they have the ability to, when people are having a hard time spiritually, emotionally, they're able to do that dance, and people wake up and they feel refreshed, and they're able to go about the mission that they were stumbling in.
I had heard before about a race of from the black mantids, that these hybrids, that the brothers, they have a extra joint here and in the leg, and maybe their neck is slightly different and have the triangles, and that they actually, their way of saying hello upon first meeting them is some type of a fluid dance that is very hard for humans to mimic. And that's just, I wonder if there's a connection there.
I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. But the fact, I don't know if anyone in your audience has had a dream like this, but after I started talking about this publicly, which I've been talking about it for a couple of years now, it just really hasn't gotten out there. Because I don't think people, if you hear about a human type alien, people want to hear about a 8 foot tall, blue eye, blonde hair, and angel, kind of being, to go along with their belief system. That, I think, one of the biggest issues. I was shown that there's apparently there's going to be some sort of solar event that's going to cause the downfall of technological civilization. And after that occurs, they call themselves our cosmic cousins. All of these different ETs, including the African-looking race I told you about, they are all going to fill the skies and come and assist us. I mean, how shocking is it going to be for everyone when they're standing there, the doors open, they're about to drop these little food with parachutes, and they look up and they don't see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed angel. They see a bunch of people of different, brown skin, different skin, I mean,
All right, I ended there. So, what do y'all think about what he said?
That's how they appeared on that ship. They didn't use that. That was the advanced technology. That's the only thing that's the immediate thing I got from it, because she didn't explain to me how they appeared. She said, but they appeared and they were on the ships and they comforted her. So
yeah,
that collaborates what she explained to me.
Yeah, if we go recap what he said. Also, too, he talked about the Dracos. In other words, some of the hostile reptilians, right? And I think if I played that clip a little longer, he went in a little more into it, or started a little earlier. But what he was getting at was, the reptilians would go from solar system to solar system, with heavy technological feats. But he also said they are pretty heavily psychic as well. So, you're talking about, anybody know anything about the reptilians, they are pretty formidable group of beings. But what he was getting at was that these Most High Nubians, I'm gonna call them, so their psychic ability and spiritual ability was so much higher that they were capable of causing confusion and creating realities for these Dracos to see, in order for them to even fight themselves. So in other words, they didn't even have to fight them. And it's like, that was beneath them to be like, we ain't fighting, y'all fight yourself. You see what I'm saying? We ain't got to do all that. Like, we well beyond that, right? And so that's something I want to talk about in a little bit. Other thing you mentioned was, their capability of healing emotional trauma. Emotional trauma is something that's understudied, at least among our community, right? Because again, when we think about our experiences here on this planet, the good majority of them are going to be relatively emotional. And whenever we say emotional, emotional gets a bad rap. We typically think of negative or low vibration emotions like hate, sadness, fear, things like that. But the other end of the spectrum is happiness, joy, love, and the such. But we are, especially in this system, experiencing a lot of emotional trauma. And these beings, as he would put it, our galactic cousin, well, they be his galactic cousin. They are galactic, straightforward family, right? In other words, they are our first peoples. In other words, moms, dads, and all that kind of thing, or equivalent to the such, right? We want to get beyond these petty experiences, the ones that keep us ball and chained to a low vibrational, mundane reality, to where we're fighting one another and essentially stifling and or hindering each other's ascension. That's what we're doing when we fighting among one another, and continuously perpetuating petty division, right? So, like the chairman always say, we need to come together, and particularly to do this. This is going to lead into what you've been saying as well, that the type of quote unquote CE5 meditations that we're going to need to do. But imagine this, we're looking to separate from this matrix, right? We're looking to separate from this matrix. And what would that actually look like? It looks like us searching for, looking for lands to where we can acquire by whatever means suitable, whatever means suitable and righteously. And especially as as melanated people, we ain't got no we have built civilizations since time immemorial. We ain't got no problem doing that. Right? We ain't got no problem doing that. So in other words, like I said, everybody who's been working these jobs all this time, if you ain't never lifted a hammer in your life, it don't matter. It doesn't matter, because you are capable of getting on one of these jobs, doing training for 2 weeks, and then doing this job every day for a paycheck. If you're capable of doing that, you are very well capable of building your own community, which turns into your own society and civilization. Now, but what would everyday life look like in one of these societies and civilizations that we built? Well, very minimal effort and having to maintain our basic resources. What's the old African proverb? Many hands make light work, right? Very minimal effort to maintain ourselves. You're talking about the food wouldn't be an issue, the electricity wouldn't be an issue, the housing wouldn't be an issue, the transportation won't be an issue. That'll be the stuff that, we probably even, that'll be the stuff we would probably pass on to our youth as chores to maintain those systems. Meanwhile, everybody's waking up every day and having to figure out, okay, what am I going to create today? In other words, what reality am I going to produce today? That's what it will look like. That's what it will look like. But in the transition process, there you speak a lot about, us separating for the sake of chilling out, healing for a second, taking a breath, right? Basically just getting out of the clutches of this grinder wheel, and being able to breathe for a second. In the midst of that, I imagine, people of like mind are going to be the first line of people who want to live this type of lifestyle. And I believe we're going to have a lot of time and a lot of opportunity to sit down and meditate with one another and call on and communicate with these Most High Nubian type of intergalactic family, right? For the sake of assisting us with the healing process over all of the trauma and transgressions we didn't experience over the last, I would say, 1,000 years, to be quite honest with you, and also let alone getting us back to a state of natural being, because again, if we're incubating and healing, that's just like going to the hospital, getting on the mend, just so you can get back to your regular state, right? We got to catch back up and get back to our regular state. Then we really start the ascension process. Because all you have time to do is really sit down from day to day, go within the universe of yourself and create, imagine, and on frequencies, on those more high emotional frequencies. And so, if we have elders to middle-aged people, all the way down to our children who are doing this culturally every day, you talking about raising the vibration to a level where parasitic entities, human and non-human, do not have the ability to encroach on, approach, and or touch. And that's where we at now. So wrapping this all the way back around to the star seeds, that is, if you try to figure out what your mission is, trying to figure out what your purpose is, that's in that type of circumstance is where you will easily find your purpance. I'm gonna land that plane right here for right now and ask the panel to weigh in on this, because it's 12:09. I just realized what time it was.
Okay, so Mama Kelly has chimed in. And Mama Kelly, you want to give us some insight on what's going on in the world after this assassination and the turmoil and the shutdown of the HBCUs and all that?
Um, let's see. Am I unmuted? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm kind of hiding out today, but yeah, I was surprised after the assassination of what's that guy's name? Chris? No.
Kirk.
The Kirk. Yeah, yeah. That guy. After seeing his name all over the place for the last 3 days. I don't know why I can't, name him, but that doesn't matter. What, of course, what we found out, which is, the agenda of the people, is that whenever I heard the assassin being called a normal white boy, okay?
High IQ.
Normal? Oh, okay. So he is the normal white boy, 22 years old, who, for whatever reason, wants to go out and kill somebody. So that is what a normal white boy is about. Okay. But it's really amazing how, okay, as it has been going through our community, this Charlie Kirk, that's his name. Yeah, how this young white boy Robinson, I believe his name was. He went in there. Okay, we're talking about Utah. I don't think there are 5,000 Black folks in Utah. Are there?
No,
There probably not. And
Mhm.
then, of course, the school, Utah Valley School, you have to remember it's the Mormons. That is a Mormon state.
Yes.
And they all told us from the beginning, that they hate white people. I mean, Black people. Then they are not allowed to come into their churches. That's the information that I received as I was learning about the Mormons. And I've done a little study on my own as far as the Mormons are concerned. I don't want to go into that now. But since this normal white boy, 22 years old, went and assassinated one of their icons, who was a straight up racist, who was a straight up, they called him a influencer. And so this white boy, normal white boy, goes and kills the guy. And then somehow we as a people are blamed. They shut down several HBCUs, the day after the assassination, and they terrorized the young students at several HBCUs all over the country. I mean, like what happened was in Utah. We're here on the East Coast. I think Howard University, one of the Virginia HBCUs, the Clark Atlanta was shut down. A couple down there. I think one in Florida and one in Alabama and Texas. HBCUs. Why were our children actually terrorized? They said the police came in, they got a message, they had to stay wherever they are, until the police came in and ransacked the school. What? Because a white boy killed a white guy in a white state, and they gonna come and terrorize us? our young children. Our children. I mean, they're in there going to class and everything. Probably never, well, first of all, probably never heard of Charlie Kirk or whatever his name is. Probably never heard of him, didn't think about him, never thought that that might enter into their domain. You know, that's crazy. So they terrorized our children, but always, whenever anything goes down, we are the first to suffer. In other words, we take the hit for whatever sin the white man actually commits. Here in America, we take the blame. We take the hit whenever a white man does any kind of sinful thing. They find a way to actually blame us, either collectively or individually, and so this is the reason why we need to actually separate ourselves from these. They're humanoids. They kind of look like humans, but I mean, you go around shooting, killing, terrorizing people all over the world. I mean, all over the world. But here, they're humanoids. All home, they terrorize us. The Aboriginal people here on this planet. Think of it. You're away from home for the first time. You're 18 years old. You're trying to get adjusted to school, to class, and everything, and then all of a sudden you're told, hey, stay right here. You can't go anywhere. And then you see police going all over the campus. What?
So, Mama Kelly, this further, as you said, justifies our case as to why we need to separate, and we're identifying land. Once again, we ask people to join our land recovery committee. We need Aboriginal people. We need star seeds. We need witnesses. This was our land. We've been here for thousands of years. We didn't come. Some of us did, but most of us was already here. We didn't come over on boats from Africa. Our nationality was stolen, and through a conspiracy with Jesse Jackson to rename us as African Americans, further isolated us from our inheritance. So this is the justification cause for us separating and moving into our own private land. Well, Mama Kelly, any other closing words before we let the chairman close us out?
I don't know what to say to my people. I really don't know what to say, because I mean, this is like almost it's criminal. Well, of course, the way they've been treating us is criminal, but why are we making that normal? They've already normalized 22-year-old white boys as assassins. Didn't they normalize that when they said that he was a normal white boy? That's what they said. His father was a police. He's in a white city, white country, a white state, a white college. I never did find out whether he was a student there or not. I don't know, but I know he knew a whole lot about guns. That's what he was brought up on, violence. And yet they point a finger to us as being the violent ones. We've never gone and dumped Agent Orange on a whole people, with our own soldiers being punished too. We never done anything like that. We never dropped atomic bombs on anybody. We never even bombed one of their communities. How many of our communities have been bombed right here in America? You know, I mean, what is it going to take for our people? Well, I'm glad at least some of the young people are saying things, talking about it, you know, and seeing that we just need to reach more.
Well, we
And
do it every Saturday on this show, and we're going to expand the broadcast over on an international level and tap into other network systems, because all the systems here in the so-called Americas they have been compromised. So you know, we're going to have to expand our horizons and use our technicians. Mama Kelly, we're going to let the chairman weigh in on this as we close out. We are 15 minutes over the hour. Chairman, your closing words?
Well, my closing words are stay tuned for the end of October, because Revelation is going to be revealed, and that's going to be a part of our solution to this madness. And I'll land that plane. And people, if you got an opportunity, if you can see anything about 3i/Atlas, check it out, especially this video.
Absolutely. And so all Star Seeds, if you're in the Florida area, October the 4th, come to the Tampa Bay area, and we're going to post the address on the sheet. We're going to have a Star Seed powwow. We're going to share some books with you, and those people that are thinking about going into business in this matrix, we got to start warning for you. Don't, you know, we're going to tell you why you don't need to do that. On that, go ahead, on that, landing the plane, Junior, if you go ahead and close us out, we're good.
Yeah, I think it's been a good show. We appreciate you coming on, Mama Kelly. And yeah, y'all stay tuned for next week. As always, we love y'all. Peace out. We'll see you.
Peace out.
thank you. I appreciate being invited.
Absolutely.
Okay.